Guys, for those of you out there like me that like to keep up to date on your shooting skills and do a decent bit of dry fire, wouldn't it be nice to be able to just reach over to the bench, grab a dedicated dry fire pistol, and be able to go and just do a dry fire session, say, maybe before you leave for the day? Now, from a convenience standpoint, this would be great, but there's a couple hurdles that you must overcome if you're going to do something like this. Now, the first one being you need a safe way to store that firearm, and that's where we run into problem number one. That is still a firearm and must be treated as such. Take, for instance, my unloaded Glock 49, as you can see here. While I might have this one sitting at an easy spot here in the reloading room to just pick up and do some dry fire, I have to keep in mind, as you should with any firearm, that this is an actual gun. I have to make sure, obviously, it is completely unloaded and safe before I begin a dry fire session, and I can't have this out anywhere accessible that someone walking by could simply just pick it up, not know if it's loaded or not, and do something stupid with it. So you have to have the extra level of safety that comes with using an actual firearm. Now, for me personally, when it comes to dry firing, not only do I need my handgun of choice to dry fire with, but I also typically use one of these guys. And this is a laser module, if you guys can see that turn on there, that turns on every time it is struck by the firing pin. So I take whatever I'm using to dry fire with, as such, hopefully you guys are able to see this, I drop that laser insert into the chamber. You just gently close the slide. That pushes it in there, and this is not pointing towards me. This is the perspective of the camera. And I have a laser module that, if we turn around here, you'd be able to see this. I now have a laser impact point, and if I really want to get into the dry fire session for the day, I can equip something like this. This is the Mantis X10. This is an accelerometer that clicks directly on to your rail mount, syncs up with your phone, and is going to give you every single movement on the gun in real time and on a graph, so you can actually see what you're doing when you're breaking the actual shot. If you're with me so far, all this sounds pretty complicated. It works, but there's got to be a better solution. Introducing probably my favorite new product of 2025, the Mantis Systems Titan X. And as you can see here, this is, hopefully get this in light, the 700 model. And what this is essentially a Glock 17 sized laser training pistol. Now, this isn't just any old laser gun. This has compatibility on the top for both RMSC as well as RMR pattern optics. It has a realistic Glock style resetting trigger. It has actual weighted magazines that have a good bit of heft to them, and I believe it comes with two of these guys. The laser is adjustable for both windage and elevation, as you can see here on the side, so you can actually zero it to the iron sights that come on it here. And the best part, this also incorporates the accelerometer module that you have over here on the X10. So now you are getting a dedicated training pistol that can safely sit out on a corner table, in a reloading room, wherever you like. This is 100% inert and incapable of firing any kind of ammunition, so you know this is going to be perfectly safe to sit out. It is a realistic size and feel to, now that is a Glock 49, so the same length slide, but that has a short grip. This is the same as like a Glock 17. You have all the same ergonomics, and you have the advantage of both a laser and an accelerometer all baked into this unit. Now, when I say this is my favorite new product release of 2025, I'm genuinely not kidding. For years, I have wanted a dedicated laser training pistol, and up until now, most of them have been just that. They are typically iron-sighted, and they are just a laser training pistol. They might have a trigger that's realistic, they might not, but that's pretty much all you would currently get on the market until the Mantis X. Now, I will say, after this one arrived, I put probably, I'm going to say in the ballpark of like 3,000 dry fires on it within the first couple days after it arrived, and I've already seen the results out on the range. Now, the first thing that I wanted to achieve with this dry fire pistol was getting better at acquiring a dot from really awkward angles. For years, I've shot irons. I'm pretty good at irons, but when it comes to acquiring a dot, particularly with varying grip angles, that has always been a challenge to do it consistently under speed. And for that reason, if you see any of my home defense pistols, they would not run any kind of optics for that very reason. I can acquire irons faster than I can acquire a dot until now. And that is one thing where being able to get the repetitions in with something like the Titan X, it has already made a huge difference in my personal training. And I can say with confidence, being able to acquire that pistol dot even just single-handedly and from weird angles or even left-handed, I can now track that dot way better than I used to be able to. And my target transitions have gotten way better as well. There is also a USB-C port right here on the side to allow you to charge the unit, and the color indicator right there next to the button here on the top is going to change color to a green, I believe, when it has finished charging. Taking a look at the trigger here, you can see tab trigger just like on a standard Glock trigger. We have our standard take up like you would on a Glock, a little bit of a pull, travel, and the brake. Let's do that again. Pull and the brake. And the reset on this, as I come out, it kind of pushes your trigger finger out just like an actual Glock trigger would. Now, this will fit all of your standard friction fit style Glock holsters. However, I have found on models like the Savariland, which index in on the chamber hood area, that obviously there's no way for it to actually retain it, and it just kind of sits there. You lose the effect of your retention, although the holster in itself does still work. Now, as far as a weight comparison, I have it here without the weighted magazine in. It does have the optic on it. We have a total weight of 10.4 ounces unloaded. Okay, let's take this off. And now let's set on our Glock 49. We've got 1 pound, 6.4 ounces. So the actual Glock is heavier, and I will note that the balance is a little different because you have all the weight in the steel of the slide here as compared to this guy. It's all about the same weight. I know all that circuitry and everything is here in the top, but make sure it's not hitting. Again, 10.5 ounces, so it's a decent bit lighter. Now let's put some mags in these and compare it with mags. And with our Mantis weighted magazine, we officially have 1 pound, 3.9 ounces. And for the Glock 49, obviously the laser insert is still in the chamber, so this gun is still safe, and we're going to dry fire it just so we are completely de-energized with a loaded Glock magazine. We are at 1 pound, 15.6 ounces, almost 2 pounds with a loaded magazine. Again, for comparison, 1 pound, 15.6 ounces versus 1 pound, 4 ounces. So a little bit lighter still. Now, when it comes to magazines, the Titan X does come with 2 of these Glock pattern weighted fake magazines, and you can also use regular, in this case this is a PMag, Glock pattern magazines that fit and function just fine. Now, if you want to simulate something like a reload drill, you can very easily simulate that. I can come up, blam, 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 I ran empty, magazine in, up, and you're back in business. So being able to use standard Glock pattern magazines, definitely a huge win. Good job on that one, Mantis. And just like if you're used to using something like the X10 module, having the Titan X be able to connect to the actual Mantis app is a huge perk as well. You can do stuff like draw times, different transition drills, reload drills, precision, basically open training drills, and a whole variety of other courses that really get you into an actual dynamic style training environment with something that you know for certain is completely unloaded, obviously because it can't be loaded to begin with, and is a dedicated training platform. And I think that part is honestly huge. So overall, I think there's a couple areas where the Titan X really shines. Now, the first of those being for seasoned shooters doing dry fire training, being able to get a ton more reps in while leaving your dry fire tool just sitting out and available for basically anybody who wants to get some practice to be able to use. That's something you can't obviously do with the regular firearm, so having a dedicated tool to do it that is incapable of loading any ammunition is a huge win. And the second one is being able to use this for new shooters. I've seen a lot of new shooters pick up a pistol and, you know, even if you're trying to run them through basics on maybe something like a 22 or whatever, getting them confident and being able to actually pull gently through the trigger instead of just going, I want to fire now. And you get all kinds of flinch elements, and even something as being able to just unload and reload a magazine is definitely a huge perk, and I think this is going to definitely be in my arsenal for training new shooters, particularly those who haven't really shot much and need to work on the trigger side, or just getting them comfortable with how to properly hold and pull a trigger on a basic gun. Now, as far as cons, in my personal opinion, things that I think could use some improvement if this goes to any future iterations. The first of which being, I would like to see it a little closer to a realistic weight. Now, obviously the weighted magazines help, but the slide section up here is still fairly light, and I know there's electronics and all that in there, but if the slide could be a little bit heavier, that would be phenomenal. And of course, the other point, and the thing that I've caught myself doing in training multiple times, is I'll do a reload, I'll stick a magazine in, and the first thing I do is I come up to rack, and the slide doesn't move. And I get that that's kind of, you know, part of the idea. However, having something that you would actually have some kind of slide motion there would make it even more valuable as far as a training aid. I get that it would increase complexity and cost and all that. But having a functioning slide release and a functioning slide, even if, like, obviously there's no opening or anything on the back to keep it, you know, unable to have any kind of ammunition go in there. But just having some kind of motion in the slide, I think would be something cool to see. I would say being able to make the slide and actually run the slide and maybe increasing the top end weight would be my two areas for improvement. So there we have it, guys. That is my look at the Mantis Titan X. This has absolutely found a place in my training regimen, and when I'm training new shooters, will absolutely be one of the tools in the arsenal to be able to get them comfortable with not only running mag changes, but to get them comfortable and confident with running a trigger that is very similar to one that you're going to find on a standard Glock style pistol. Special shout out and thanks to the team over at Mantis for sending this over for testing and review. I have wanted one of these for quite a long time, and I will say it absolutely lives up to the reputation and to the hype that was building before this guy was actually released. For ages, I have had this X10, as you can see here on my G49, and while very nice, you obviously have a bunch more safety concerns that go into running an actual firearm with something like that, whereas this guy, you are able to confidently know that it is safe at all times and be able to get that good level of training in both for yourself and for anybody else that you might want to teach. As always, guys, stay safe, keep on reloading. Sometimes that means reloading those magazines during your dry fire practice sessions with your brand new Mantis Titan X. Catch you guys later. Guys, it's no secret that YouTube is not exactly friendly towards gun channels, particularly those like mine, where I like to teach you stuff, well, like this. As a result, YouTube shadow bans a lot of my content, which essentially means they don't suggest or show my videos on YouTube, even though they are shared and public. This in turn means lower amounts of views, less overall revenue for the channel to be able to keep doing what you guys and myself both enjoy. If you found this particular video helpful, make sure to give it a like and share it with any friends that you think might be interested. And if you are into rimfire shooting, check out our TRC eBay store, where I have ultra durable 22 snap caps, safety chamber flags, and other products available for you guys. This has become by far the best way of supporting the channel, as YouTube revenue continues to be choked off because YouTube does not like my content. Thanks again for watching and supporting us here on the Reloading Craft channel. As always, stay safe, keep on reloading, and I'll see you in the next one.